Hello everyone, and this is teacher Henrik Opreya, and this is a quick review or a quick summary of conditional sentences to you in English. So we're going to start talking a bit about conditionals, and let me just zoom out and then zoom in here. So when we're talking about conditionals, we need to have a look at the fact that leads to a result. That's the very first thing that we do. This is not really a condition. This is what really happened. So for example, if as a fact I have it here, I may go to the cinema tonight. As a result, I may invite my friends to watch a film. I don't like horror films, so I won't watch The Exorcist. I didn't watch a film with my friends, so I couldn't talk to them about it. And I stayed at home, so I read a book instead. These aren't conditions, these are facts. This is what really happened. If I want to start to talk a bit about the condition, I need to take a look at the fact and change it. Actually, I can only make a condition if I'm talking about something that's the opposite of the fact. For example, I don't like horror films. I cannot make a condition saying that I don't like horror films because that's the fact. So let's have a quick look at what happens here when we change things from facts to conditions. When we have a look at this, we'll notice a couple of changes here. When I say, I may go to the cinema tonight, I may go to the cinema tonight, if, when I'm changing it from the fact to the condition, I'm going to add the if and say, if I go to the cinema tonight, I'm not sure if I'm going or not. I may go, but if I go, I will do something. I don't like horror films, but if I liked horror films, I didn't watch a film with my friends, didn't watch a film. But if I had watched a film with my friends, something else would have happened. And I stayed at home. I stayed at home in the past, so if I hadn't stayed at home. So right now we can quickly notice that there's a change, there's a shift in the verb form that we're using from, for example, I don't like to I liked. So I'm using the simple present over here, and I use the simple past over here. But this is not the only thing that changes when we're talking about conditions. We've got to remember that there's something else that changes, which would be the results. And these results, they will be different in the facts, when I'm talking about fact, and when I'm talking about a condition. So I may invite my friends to watch a film. I will invite, or I may invite my friends to watch a film. May here remains the same. It could remain the same because I might not be that certain. I won't watch The Exorcist. That would be the result from the fact that I don't like horror films. But if I liked, I would watch The Exorcist, or I could watch The Exorcist. I couldn't talk to them about it. I couldn't talk to my friends about the film. But if I had watched the film, I could have talked to them about it, or I would have talked to them about it. And I stayed at home, so I read a book instead. If I hadn't stayed at home, I wouldn't have read a book instead. Okay, so let's have a look at what happens here, really happens from fact to the condition. So we have here two of those sentences, and let's analyze what happens. So the fact is, I may go to the cinema tonight, so I may invite my friends to come with me. Okay, here it is. I may go to the cinema tonight, so I may invite my friends to come with me. I may go, but if the condition, if I go to the cinema tonight, I will, or I may invite, or I might invite my friends to come with me. The difference here is the degree of certainty I have, right? Another fact that I have, I don't like horror films, so I won't watch The Exorcist. Notice the verb change. Notice the verb change over here. So what we have, if I liked horror films, from I don't like, if I liked horror films, I would watch The Exorcist. Here I'm talking about the present, but notice that in my condition I'm using the verb in the simple past. And when I'm talking about the result, I change the won't, which is the verb will, the modal verb will, to would. The other sentences that we have seen here, which would be these sentences, also from fact to condition. The fact, I didn't watch the film with my friends. This is something that happened in the past, so I couldn't talk to them about it. However, I can create a condition about that, and then I can say, if I had watched the film with my friends, if I had watched from I didn't watch, if I had watched the film with my friends, I could have talked to them about it. I could have talked to them about it. And pay attention to the correct pronunciation of that. You don't need to say, I could have talked to them about it, right? I could have talked to them about it. So simple past in the negative goes to past perfect in the affirmative. Why is that so? Because it needs to be contrary to the fact. If the fact is in the negative, my condition is in the affirmative. The other sentence, I stayed at home, so I read a book instead. But if I hadn't stayed at home, I wouldn't have read a book. I would have done something else. But as I stayed at home, I read a book. If I hadn't stayed, I wouldn't have read a book. Notice that in the condition, my sentence also changes from the affirmative to the negative, from the negative to the affirmative. Same thing happens in my conditional. Negative in the condition, that means affirmative in the fact. Okay, so as a quick summary, what do we have? Well, we need to understand this, that when I'm talking about conditionals, I have the fact. If the fact is in the affirmative form, my condition is in the negative form. If my fact is in the negative form, my conditional will be written in the affirmative form. And then we have the verbs. The verbs will change also, and this is how some of them are going to change. So if you're talking about something that's always true, or something that people call the zero conditional, if Jack studies, he scores a good mark on tests. This happens whenever Jack studies. So you're going to be using the same verb form on both clauses, right? The if clause in the simple present, main clause in the simple present. If you had used simple past here, you had to use simple past over here as well. Present or future possibility are what some people consider the first conditional. If Tim comes to the party, I'm not sure if he's coming or not, but if he comes, I will introduce you to him, right? I'll introduce you to him. So I can use will or might plus the base form, which is the verb in the infinitive without to. So I'm using here, even though I might be talking about the future possibility, I use the verb in my if clause in the present simple, right? The simple present here, and will plus base form. If I'm talking about a hypothetical present, that's something that's not real, and now here we start working with unreal sentences. So this would be the unreal present. If I had money on me, what am I saying right now? That I don't have any money on me. I don't in the present, but when I'm specifying this with if, I use the simple past. If I had money on me, I would go to the cinema. Now I'm going to be using not will, but I'm going to be using would and could. I would go to the cinema. This, as we're talking about something unreal, this is why we say if I were you, not if I was you. Then we have to use the subjunctive for that. And the hypothetical past, so I'm talking about something that happened in the past, and now I'm making a condition about that. What if that thing hadn't happened? So if Fred had asked Susan out, this means he didn't ask Susan out. But if he had asked Susan out, using the past perfect, she would have said yes. And here you can say would, could, or might plus have, which is a form for us to use the modal verb in the past. Would have, could have, might have. So she would have said yes. She could have said yes. She might have said yes. And again, you change this according to your degree of certainty. So there you go. This is a quick review of conditional sentences. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was useful to you. Bye-bye.